6:40 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, do doctors have a cure for election fever? Because some of them might actually be suffering from that right now, not because there's a PNM or a UNC. You know, people like to feel that most doctors are UNC anyway, but COP or whatever else it is, or any other political organization. But the Medical Practitioners Association of Trinidad and Tobago, MPAT, their elections, their executive elections are coming up. That's going to be on Thursday, the 17th of April. Which means that it's just a couple of days away, the elections for the new executive of the Medical Practitioners Association. And for the first time, as that we can recall, there's actually a challenge to the incumbents. And we have two of the challengers with us. They are members of the MPAT Reformers Organization. Going up for the executive elections. We have with us the person going up for president, Dr. Visham Bimal, and the doctor going up for the post of treasurer, Dr. Kevin Kan Kernahan. Very good morning to you both. Good to have you on the program. So the elections are coming up, just a matter of a couple of days away. Visham Bimal, why have you and those of MPAT Reformers decided to go against the tradition and challenge the executive?
Now, MPAT was formed in 2002. It broke away from the PSC. Since then, they did represent doctors. They did represent the fact that we wanted change within the public sector, salaries, working conditions, and all that.
Was it really to represent doctors, or was it another UNC party group?
It was really to represent doctors, as far as I know, because we were involved, and when we had concerns, we'd go to the office and tell them, and they would take it on.
Right.
But since probably around 2010, we have not heard anything from MPAT. Doctors essentially, right now, our salaries are in the bargaining table, and there's only speculation. It is only hearsay as to what would be the increase in salary, what would be the terms and conditions. Nobody from the current executive have come out to the membership and told the membership, well, this is the status of the negotiations. Do you all agree with it? You think it makes sense? So basically, we believe that decisions are being made and they're not consulting the membership of MPAT, who they represent.
Kevin Kan Kernahan, you are going up for the post of treasurer as one of the MPAT members of MPAT Reformers. What would you say would be the fundamental issue with those who have issues with this executive now headed by Dr. Ravi Narayan?
Basically, the current executive, we don't think is a voice representative of the doctors anymore.
And what are we talking about specifically? Are we talking about purely salary issues? Are we talking about other issues? What are we talking about?
Salaries, working conditions, even factors such as things affecting patient safety and complaints might arise. Issues are brought up with MPAT, and we have not heard anything from the executive in quite a while. I mean, I've been a member of MPAT for well over a year now, and I've never got any emails or any feedback from them up until Monday.
Take the Crystal Ramsummer case that happened, and it was a big issue.
Yes.
The RHA did an investigation, and it was found that it wasn't the doctor's fault. Really, it was a deficiency in the system, and that hasn't been addressed. And we find the conditions we have to work in as doctors, it really hinders and impedes our ability to give best care to our patients.
And we were talking about the public sector here.
Yes.
Do you appreciate, doctors, when people hear you say that the problem is the system, that the general public will say, well, look, the doctors are gone again, making excuses, blocking for one another?
You see, you have to realize that medicine and the medical field is not about doctors alone. It's a team of people. You're talking about a group of nurses, doctors, specialists, psychologists, social workers. It's a team. Traditionally, the doctor has been seen the one to be in charge and to make decisions. That has changed. Doctors are just part of the team, the entire medical team, and conversation needs to take place.
And when we talk about these these issues, because I understand there was a meeting last Friday with the MPAT Reformers presenting their own ideas and their own manifesto, if you want to refer to it, to be elected come Thursday. What are the issues? What are the main issues that the MPAT Reformers are putting on the table?
The main issues, to be a member of MPAT, you have to basically pay dues every month, right? a lot of members, I think as far as we checked, with 300 and something. When we went on our campaign, we called around people. We couldn't get the list of we couldn't canvass properly because we couldn't even get the list of eligible electors. When we asked for it, they told us 1 week before election that it is still being prepared. And we thought that was an outrage. You advertise elections in the 2-week period you're supposed to. You didn't give a time for the election, one. When would you give that time? You can't give it the day before. And also, you're not making a list of voters available. So how can we canvass? Those are the issues. And also, the constitution of MPAT, because we met, as our slate met, with some consultants or people who work with PSA in the beginning. And they looked at the constitution and it's very vague. It is so vague in such a way that the current executive could utilize it to their whim and fancy, so that we won't have free and fair elections, essentially.
So what's the point then, Kevin Kankanan? If it is that you are your candidate for president is suggesting that it won't be free and fair, what's the point of contesting the election?
Well, we are trying to make a difference, and we think one of the first things we have to do is fight for a free and fair election, right, and to make our voice heard and try and get MPAT to hold said free and fair election. We think that the list of eligible candidates, given the fact that the Constitution says that these should be paying members for the past 6 months, by now should be prepared. There should be no last-minute candidates really coming onto the list. The time for election should be facilitating to the doctors working in the public sector. Most doctors work in addition to 8 to 4. A lot of them work 24-hour shifts if they're working in the hospitals. If they're in the health center sector, they work different shift periods. The period for election announced is on the Thursday from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., which many doctors can't find time to leave work during that time.
And where, just so we could understand, is there going to be one election location?
Yes, there's only one election location as advertised on at the MPAT office in Chaguanas.
Can I make a few points here?
Please.
Yes. What we want to say is that, well, we essentially saw the advertisement for elections, right? And we said, well, we were nominated by members from this association, MPAT, to go up for these posts. It was advertised that the closing date was the 3rd of April for nominations, and you put it in writing. We did that, right? Subsequent to that, we went to the offices of MPAT to ask for the time and also to ask for the list of voters. We were told, as I said, that is not available now. We were upset. We communicated with the staff there, the office staff, that we really upset about this because this goes against free and fair elections. After that, a colleague of mine, Dr. Lynch, is the colleague who went with me.
Yes. He's going up for general secretary.
We were given a letter of disciplinary action. We were suspended as members of MPAT because it was alleged that we threatened the member of staff in the office. So that's one. The second thing is that all of us except Kevin, because he submitted his nomination paper on the 2nd, got letters saying, even though it was advertised on the 3rd, that, well, according to their interpretation, we submitted it a day late. We're supposed to submit it on the 2nd, and by virtue of that, we can't run for elections. And we thought all that was just to keep us out of the election.
So just so we could understand, are you all considered by the MPAT executive as legitimate challengers?
Not anymore.
So this interview is pointless then?
It's not pointless. We actually filed a pre-action protocol, and the pre-action protocol addressed that whole thing about nominations, and we should be, we are in no breach of anything. We met the deadline as the 3rd, and also we should not be suspended because all we did was exercise our constitutional right to go to the office and ask for the information.
So what is going to happen come Thursday?
The pre-action protocol letters went out. We're just waiting to hear from the current MPAT executive, waiting for this morning, and then we'll move from there. We are hoping that they will meet our demands and have free and fair elections, right? Let our nominations go through and let us contest the elections. We don't even know who else, besides our slate, we don't even know who else is going up for election. It's so in the dark, it's so discreet, so that the membership doesn't even know, besides us, because we are promoting ourselves based on our campaign. They don't know who else is going up from anywhere else. As far as everybody knows, these are the numbers.
But is it because maybe Kevin Kankanan that the majority of doctors really don't care because they don't see MPAT as really...
They do.
They do? So how is it that you could have a situation where You go into an office and ask for the electors list and they don't have it, they don't have the basic information, and then on top of that you get suspended for asking a question. There's a roti shop.
Exactly.
This is why a lot of doctors have lost faith with the
And
current union.
membership has dwindled because doctors say now they pay in their dues every month and they're not getting any representation. When we carded it, it was about 330 members, but when we couldn't get the list, so we had to go out to our colleagues and ask, are you a member? Are you a member? Come, this is what we offering you. We want you to vote for us. We didn't know that there is this wave of change. We, unfortunately, because we're so disenchanted with MPAT, I've stopped paying my dues.
So, and this is a so-called professional organization represented by so-called professional people, doctors?
I would assume that, but because we now have this impression of it, we want to make a change. We want to go up there and make a change.
But you may not even get the chance to vote.
Well, after the letters come back and we get a response, we definitely plan to file an injunction to stop the elections.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to get to, because today is Tuesday. This is Tuesday morning. The elections, as we know so far, is on Thursday between 12 midday and 5 p.m.
Right.
at the MPAT offices in Chaguanas. From your understanding, are those elections going to take place?
With the current situation, given the suspension, our nominations are not valid at this point in time. MPAT has not responded to our letters, so as far as we know, the elections are going ahead, but it is not free and fair.
Have you communicated at all with either Dr. Narayan, the president right now of MPAT, or any member of the
We can't get anybody. Since we went...
I mean, they can't get anybody.
Nobody answering the phone. Since we went to the office to ask for the list, and they said that we essentially threatened the secretary, the office is closed, no transaction taking place, no members could update their registration with the body. So basically nothing is taking place at MPAT at this point in time. None of the executive members can be found.
Do you understand, Kevin Kernahan, where the wider population will be asking themselves, as they listen to you all over the last 10 minutes and we have a few minutes left, they'll be asking themselves, you know, what does this say about the medical fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago? If a simple matter like an executive elections for a supposedly professional body cannot be run smoothly, what does this say about the doctors?
Yes, we do understand that that question will be addressed, but there must be times for change.
Unfortunately, doctors are not a breed of people for confrontation. We have taken up this challenge
true.
as a group.
When it was the PNM in office, you all were making noise every 5 minutes. That's why you all are referred to as a UNC party group.
I don't agree with that. Completely don't agree with it. From my impression, when I was in MPAT, they did fight for the right of doctors. We did see improvements in our salaries, in the environment, but as of the last 5 years, we haven't heard from MPAT.
You know, because again, is there people in power now, so they're gone quiet.
As far as I'm concerned, we're not being represented, and that is why we have our slate going out there.
And answer that question. If you could give me the same question I asked Dr. Kernahan, that the simple matter of an election involving doctors, people who are allegedly well educated, who should know process and respect for law and order, it reached this stage.
Doctors are trained to practice medicine. We're not trained as trade unions.
Yeah, but like everybody else, you put one foot in front of the other to go to different places. So you can't say, doctor, that you all are trained medical professionals and you all have a priority. Surely you all respect good governance, elections, people who are verifying members list. Surely that should be, that you shouldn't even have to ask that question of doctors, lawyers, or anybody else. You would think that professionals would see the value in having a properly structured organization.
You see, part of it also is within the union to educate its members as to what are their rights, what they should fight for. This is what we should have solidarity in. And unfortunately, that is not happening with the current executive.
Why isn't it, but why isn't there more agitation among doctors for that level of representation?
I think it's because so many people have left. So many people are just disinterested. A lot of people look to leave the system, so because they're not here, they don't think they're going to be in it very long, so they're not fighting. They think it's too much of an effort to try and fight for what should be basic rights.
Because they're going to pack up and go somewhere else.
A lot of junior doctors, honestly, they think, okay, this is just a temporary point. They're waiting to do exams and then leave. They're not going to be in the system, so they don't need to stay here and fight for what is their right.
So why are you prepared, together with your other members of the MPAT reformers, why are you prepared to fight?
Because we are practicing doctors in Trinidad and Tobago. I do hope to stay in public sector and continue to practice, and I think that we should be educating people and standing up for what is our right. We should be trying to better standards for not only ourselves, for patients also, because we're not only fighting for, like I say, our stuff, we're trying to improve the quality of healthcare by fighting for these things.
At the end of the day, right now, the public's impression of doctors is at its lowest, and I think that the union should do something about it. They are not, and that's what we intend to do.
When you say do something about it, we have just a few seconds left. Are you expecting the union to be managers of the image of doctors, or some will say the reason the impression of doctors is at a very low ebb is because there's a lot going wrong in the medical profession?
Not in the profession, within the medical sector itself, just not doctors. There are a lot of other confounding variables that are not identified, are not expressed. I mean, the union should be the ones coming out and saying, well, doctors can't work because of this or because of that. These are the problems. We need to address it and lobby for change so that the work environment for doctors would be in such a way that it is conducive to do what we have to do.
And before we conclude, just so we could understand it clearly, because we only have a few seconds left, Dr. Bimal, is there going to be an election on Thursday?
As far as we know, yes, there's going to be an election, but
will you be allowed to vote?
I'm not sure, and I tell you that if there is an election on Thursday, it would not be free and fair, and that's what we are fighting for.
So you want the election postponed?
Yes, we want it postponed if it is not free and fair and proper procedures are followed. For instance, I'll give you an example.
Very quickly.
We asked for an independent body to observe the elections. The MPAT currently said the PSA. We said no, the PSA has their issues as well. We want the Elections and Boundaries Commission to come in and tell them what is procedure and protocol and be the independent person in this election to make sure it's free and fair.
Gentlemen, thanks very much for coming in this morning to give us a perspective on the MPAT election. So, Bacchanal in the doctors' common room, apparently, and they'll come to blows before the election on Thursday. It might sound comical, but really, is it not more reflective of the state of Trinidad and Tobago when a simple matter of an executive election is